So before we get into the documentary itself, I'd just like to say that I recommend watching it. You can say a lot of things about Netflix, but they do make very good documentaries. It's very well put together, the pacing's good, they put it into a coherent narrative, they use as much original footage as they can. Just very good overall. Now, that being said, if we go into the documentary itself, I'm going to say this. If I did not know that this was a documentary based on real events, I would think that this is some sort of like polemic movie made by someone off of Pole. Or maybe someone in Hollywood who's secretly our guy. Because the sheer number of memes, cliches, talking points that inadvertently get put into this movie. Like I said, you can take any like 5 minute segment from this, and it feels like some kind of docudrama that someone off a pole who had a budget made. I mean, you got his literally dancing Israelis, you got the Mossad, you got gullible high trust people from Scandinavia, you have Ponzi schemes, you have women ruined by Disney and the mass media, you have polyamory, you have all kinds of degeneracy. It just kind of is, like I said, every poll talking point put into a film. Except the difference is it's 100% true. So I'm going to do this in chronological order rather than the order that they went about in the movie. So our protagonist, or rather villain, is someone named Simon Lviv, who had changed his name from Shimon Yehuda Hayat. And they go to Israel at some point, and I think he was from an ultra Orthodox family, and he changed his name to Simon Lviv because he's pretending to be the son of an Israeli diamond mogul who runs a shady company that, from my understanding, has been linked to smuggling illegal diamonds from conflict zones. So, I mean, let's just unpack this because there's just so many levels. Oh, and that guy's also a Hasidic Jew. So, we have an Israeli named Simon Leviv who pretended to be the son of an international Hasidic Jewish diamond mogul that runs a shady company that probably is involved in illegal diamond smuggling, who becomes a career con artist. So that is our main character. He obviously didn't agree to be part of this movie. So the movie kind of focuses around, as you can see on the side, the three victims. I'm not going to bother, they're kind of interchangeable. So his targets seem to exclusively be Nordic looking blondes. To give him credit, he does tend to pick pretty hot women. So they tend to be from Sweden, Norway, Finland, or Holland, all like the most high trust societies possible. So you have the Israeli who's going to Nordic countries trying to pick up blondes and taking advantage of the fact that they're high trust. Hmm. Anyways, so he winds up meeting them on Tinder. And there's like a part early on where they're interviewing some of these women, and they're just like the dumbest bitches I've ever seen. They're like, "Oh, Tinder's where you meet your soulmate. Tinder's not full of people who are just trying to pick up women for casual sex. Everyone on Tinder is so honest and trustworthy, and no one on there would ever lie to me. At least one of them after this whole scam just went on using Tinder as if nothing actually happened. It was like it wasn't a problem with the platform. It's not that Tinder was a hive of scum and villainy. It's just I didn't find my true lover, the man who would sweep me off my feet, the man who would fill that hole in my heart. And they're like talking about how I grew up watching Disney movies. I just knew my Prince Charming would come and he would lead me away. And all these like guys in real life were just so boring. And this Simon Laviv messaged me and he was just a prince. Literally one of the people nicknamed him Prince as opposed to King. It like put a crowd emoji as his avatar in their WhatsApp. So he messages them and he says, "You're the most beautiful woman I've ever seen. I fell in love with you at first sight." If you look at his Tinder profile, he has all these like pictures and videos of him doing crazy stuff. He's spending like $5,000-10,000 a day on living a luxurious lifestyle, globetrotting, all that kind of stuff. And then he tells them that, yeah, I'm the billionaire son of the head of this shady diamond company. And apparently, if you Google it, or if you did Google it, there was a Simon Lviv who he was impersonating, who was on the website, I think, of the diamond company. So, in a lot of cases, how he initially got them to come in is he'd ask them to fly with him on his private jet. And for a lot of them, he got like his baby mama, if she was his baby mama, to go on the plane with him. And this seemed to attract the women more to him, that he had a baby mama, because it showed that he was good with children. And something I noticed is all of the women in this seem to be okay with polyamory. Like one of them actually like is encouraging it, and it just doesn't seem to really be a big deal to any of them. Or maybe it was, I don't know. So he just sends them like all these cringy Twitter videos, all these like cringy selfies, him just partying and stuff like that. And he tells them that he loves them and he wants to marry them and he wants to treat them like a queen. And a little ways into the relationship, he sends a picture of his bodyguard, Peter, getting beat up and having a cut, like a crack on the back of his head. He's like, "Look, my enemies are coming after me because I'm Jewish." That's basically what he says at one point. The South African government is after me, not because I'm participating in diamond smuggling, but solely because I'm a member of the tribe. And then he comes up with the story that because his enemies are after him for security purposes, he has to cancel all of his credit cards and he has no access to funding. And so the women have to give him money. Now, the fact that they believe that a billionaire has no access to capital, like that he can't just withdraw physical money from the bank, that he can't have someone else in his entourage use a credit card, that there's not a company credit card, that there's literally no way a billionaire would have access to money. The fact that they would believe this just makes me think that they're fucking retarded. And there's that old expression, you can't cheat an honest man, which isn't strictly true, but what it means is oftentimes when it comes to con men, it's the person's greed and their desire to make a quick buck, even if they probably subconsciously know it's not ethical or it's too good to be true. Their greed is what kind of draws them in. And in this case, the women are so obsessed with the idea of getting this king to like be the father of their children, of them living as like some Israeli princess, that they're willing to just believe anything. So basically, he just emotionally gaslights them constantly about how he needs more and more money. He gets them to take out credit cards for him. He gets them to take out loans for him. The first girl took out like $250,000 worth of loans, and he sent her a fake e-transfer for $250,000, and he put her on the payroll of the diamond company for like $100,000 a month. And they're like, he paid me back. Did any of this money actually get to their accounts? No. And even after they didn't receive the money the first couple times, they continued to believe him. So these like women lied to the banks, they lied to the credit card companies. They pretended that the cards were in their name. They pretended that they were the ones spending the money. They used fabricated documents to make it look like they had a much higher income than they actually had, and all that kind of thing. And we're supposed to feel sorry for these people. Like, I don't. I think payday loan companies are usurious. I think they're scumbags. I think credit card companies are scumbags. At the same time, though, there is an element of personal responsibility to this, and there is an element of you can't cheat an honest man. These women are supposed to be very, very smart. They have degrees, they work in prestigious fields, and they couldn't figure out that the ruinous interest rates were a bad idea. They couldn't figure out that $250,000 in high interest loans from 9 different companies to give money to a seedy billionaire who's involved in diamond smuggling and is being chased across the world by, I don't know, like alt-right hitmen from like 4chan or something. They couldn't figure it out, and it's just, there's a bit of a, oh, the poor women. There's no way they could have known. There's no way that like it wasn't obvious, even as the guy was sending them pictures of him fucking other women and just blowing it. And he kept leading them on by going, "Look, I have this huge diamond deal coming in. I'll be able to pay you back for everything." And he just kept faking it. And they just said, "I just wanted to believe him because I loved him so much and he treated me like a queen and he was my Prince Charming and he was the man of my dreams." And it does really play into the whole high trust thing. Because that's like a meme that there's high and low trust societies with like Northern Europe, Japan, I guess South Korea, and Canada being high trust societies. And then there's lower trust societies like in Latin America. And in higher trust societies, you have more stuff like people turn in wallets if they find them. You don't need to bribe government officials as much. If you happen to leave your door open, people aren't necessarily going to come in steal from you. There's this general understanding that if everyone acts in a socially good way, it'll have positive influences on the society. And the problem with that is it leads to a lot of naivety when they encounter people who aren't from a high trust society because they're extremely easy to scam. It's like how Saruman was able to scam the hobbits, I guess. They're kind of childish and naive and they really have no understanding of what's going on. And they just keep going, "I can't believe he betrayed me. I can't believe he let me down." And the dude is just like unhinged. Like he'll just go crazy at some points and yell about how he's going to get them and how actions have consequences. As we kind of go through this, it's hinted at least a little that he has connections to the Mossad. Because there's points where he says he's a Mossad, he seems to keep getting away with things and slipping through the international justice system, and whenever he gets caught he doesn't serve much time in jail. So I think he was a Mossad agent, because he's claimed that at one point they claimed like his father or his grandfather was one. They'd interviewed his mother who lived in a Hasidic Jewish neighborhood. The whole thing is just shady as fuck. I mean, I think that there was stuff going on here beyond him just being a slimeball who uh, duped dumb blondes into giving him money. At a certain level, I almost have to respect the pure sociopathy that it takes to do this. The chutzpah, no pun intended, of bagging all these hot women, stealing hundreds, like tens of millions of dollars from them, and doing this all with a completely straight face. Like it's really evil, but you got to give him credit at least. I mean, if you're going to go to hell, you might as well do something worthy of going to hell so that the other damned souls don't make fun of you. It's like you're there in hell and Mao's like, "I killed 40 million people," and Hitler's like, "I killed the 6 million." And then they're like, "What did you do?" And it's like, "I jerked off to trap porn," and then they just laugh at you. And all the like damn souls just mock you. So I mean, at least he like had some fun, and it's not like he's going to get made fun of when he invariably goes to hell. So one of the women reached out to the biggest newspaper in Norway, and they spent a couple years investigating this, getting everything together to do a documentary or a big news article called The Tinder Swindler. And these bitches are so dumb that when some of them like found the article with overwhelming evidence, their first response was to send a copy of the article to the guy and be like, "Is this true? Did you do this?" The first like thought wasn't to catfish him. The first thought wasn't to try to blackmail him or to just get away from him. It was to tip them off that they were on to him and give him a chance to escape and cover his tracks. Because they couldn't believe it. They couldn't believe, despite the pictures, despite the mounds of evidence, that their prince, that their king would ever betray them in that fashion. However, enough of these dumb bitches seem to have gotten the idea in their heads, so it became increasingly difficult for him to get additional women, and he was hiding out in, I think, Prague, and he was out of money because he had super high time preference, and he immediately blew all the money he extorted out of women on basically drugs, booze, and other girls. So the last one was, I think, this Dutch girl. She was the last of the women who were uh, being scammed by him, and she decided that she was going to scam the scammer. She was going to tribe the member of the tribe. So she goes and she's like, "Look, I have connections in the fashion industry. I can sell a lot of your designer clothes for big money, and I'll send you the money, and then you'll have enough money to get out of Prague." So she manages to scam him into giving her all of his clothes, his expensive clothing, and she sells it all for like 10 grand or something like that. And she manages to figure out where he's going. And in connection with the Dutch and Greek police, they catch him in Greece. So he was extradited to Israel, and you're like, okay, he's finally going to pay for his crimes. I mean, I would argue a lot of this probably isn't technically illegal. Like, if you, I guess he lied to them. I don't know if it's technically fraud. I'd imagine forging like dozens of passports, illegally applying for credit cards under fake names, and like impersonating someone would be illegal. So he goes to Israel, and after all this shit he did, he gets a big 15 months in jail, of which he only serves 5. Um, because of the COVID pandemic. Ironically enough, he would later go on to impersonate a medical worker to get a vaccine early. In the epilogue, it showed that he's currently offering business classes for $300 a pop, and that there's some like Israeli, well, I don't know if they're Israeli women but there's women he's like scamming now, and he's super rich again, and women are giving him money despite him like all of this being out in the open. That's just how dumb they are. Is this guy's just a king, I guess. But once again, this raises the whole like Mossad question. That like he just got away with basically everything. The Israeli government refused to punish him at all. And he's not going to serve uh, any of it in any of the other countries. Like he's wanted in Norway, Sweden, the UK, probably Holland and some other places, but he's being protected by the Israeli government. So I don't know if the idea here was he was raising cash for like Mossad Black Ops. Like he was taking the money from this women and giving it to like the Mossad edition, like black budget. And maybe the money he was spending was from the Israeli like diplomatic budget or something. I don't know. He might have even been involved in actual diamond smuggling. So like I said, this whole film, it comes across as like an incel poltard um like wet dream, Wignat wet dream. Like there's just so many aspects to this. And you could just go through and take any individual clip from this film and just mine it for memes. This film is meme gold. This film is meme magic, and I highly recommend you watch it.